It happens. You've seen it happen to me. Things go wrong, plans have to be modified. You roll with it because what else are you going to do? It may not be as epic as what you had in mind, but wherever you end up, being out there somewhere is better than sitting at home. When I was invited to be part of the All Dogs Off-Road booth at Expo Mountain West, I eagerly accepted, thrilled for the opportunity to finally set my eyes and my tires upon the incredible mountain vistas of Colorado. Gnarly rocky trails, historic mining artifacts, and most of all, expansive alpine panoramas soaring above the tree line. That was the plan anyway. First, we gotta actually get there.
I am on my way to Colorado. It's a big long drive from Western Oregon. Part of the goal is obviously to attend Expo Mountain West, but if I'm going that far, I'm gonna check out some mountains of Colorado. Well, driving through sort of agricultural area between Vail, Oregon and Nyssa, Oregon. It seems like every time I drive through here, there's some sort of dramatic sky, and while the sky is kind of flat gray, man, it really looks heavy, like it's about to just break loose with some, like it's really just about to break loose with some thunderstorms. Really about to break loose with some thunderstorms. Break loose with some say that 3 times fast. Break loose with some thunderstorms. So here I am veering south towards Utah. Some pockets of public land where I might find some place to sleep. Alright, well, this is just a little clearing off of that dirt road. I had seen that in satellite imagery and thought I could probably just come and sleep right there. Well, another just pull off on the side of the road, but this is the trail that I want to do tomorrow. I had to go up a surprising amount of rough terrain just to get here to this point. It's not a terrible place to camp. It is already cold. I don't know what elevation we're at, but let's take a look. So we're at over 11,000 feet here. That's definitely the highest I've ever driven the truck. It may be the highest that I've ever been, other than being in an airplane. Yeah, I got a little out of breath just moving a couple of rocks to level the truck.
I did not have a good night. I've lived my whole life just above sea level, and it turns out my sea level cardiopulmonary system was not prepared for life at 11,000 feet. This went beyond the shortness of breath I was fully expecting to experience. I was dizzy and nauseous to the point that I felt on the verge of passing out if I simply walked too quickly across camp. During the night, I woke up over and over gasping for breath, and by morning I had developed an intense headache and struggled to even think clearly. The trail I was planning to drive was going to ascend another 2,000 feet above my campsite. It was clear that there was no way I could drive up this gnarly trail while running to set up cameras, and if I ran into any trouble, there was no way I would be able to perform a recovery or even just change a tire. I fully expected to find myself short of breath and knew I would need to move slowly, and while I was vaguely aware of the term altitude sickness, I didn't know how common it was, nor did I know that I approached this all wrong by driving from sea level to 11,000 feet in just 2 days. Almost everyone who ascends quickly to 11,000 feet will develop acute mountain sickness. I didn't know all this at the time, of course. I just instinctively knew I needed to get down to lower elevation. Countless hours of research and planning, 2 full days of driving, and multiple tanks of gasoline, only to realize I had no choice but to scrap all my plans for the next 3 days in Colorado. I was devastated, and what made it worse was that it was my own dumb fault for being ignorant of how common and severe altitude sickness is.
It just kills me not to be driving up into these mountains. I mean, that's what I came to Colorado for, was to see this as something that's unlike anything in Oregon, get up on top of those ridges, drive those amazing treeless areas and those vistas. I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I don't have the words to express the disappointment that I'm feeling after making this huge trip, expensive trip, and not to go home with footage of these incredible mountains that I wanted to see.
Despite feeling woozy, I'm forcing myself to at least capture a bit of footage as I continue dropping back down the mountain. Original planned routes would have taken me past several historic sites up in the mountains. I'm lucky there is one old ruin here at the bottom of this trail. After making my way down into the nearest town, I'll spend a couple of hours researching some lower elevation options. against a backdrop of mountains I cannot access. Not on this trip, anyway. I had no idea what to expect, but by pure luck, my route down here took me right past the ranger station for this district, where a super helpful and knowledgeable staffer had some suggestions for areas that would suit my style of exploration without excessive elevation gain. Paused here above this small lake. It's a man-made reservoir, and apparently when it was dammed, it pushed the water up to a new fissure in the rocks, creating that waterfall we saw at the beginning. I probably would have missed this dirt road wrapping around the back side of the reservoir and heading off into lesser traveled areas, but it's immediately both beautiful and deserted, so I'm very grateful for the guidance I received at the ranger station.
I've already stumbled across so many campsites. I was like taking note of them for a while, but eventually I just stopped because there's campsites everywhere, nice campsites, and I have not seen a soul. Once I got away from that little reservoir right at the beginning, I have seen nobody out here. I mean, it is a Monday, and that's great. I'm sure that I'm seeing less people than I would be if I was up on the mountaintops where I was planning to be. I do keep running into some foot traffic though. So I am really just wandering in the purest sense of the word. When I get to an intersection, I look and see what kind of seems more interesting or what seems to be roughly going in the right direction, kind of working my way south through this valley. Just kind of going along. Now I've got the paper map that they gave me at the ranger station. I don't have map data downloaded for where I am, and so I can't see super well in Gaia where exactly I am. I can see kind of roughly, but it's okay. I don't think I can get lost in here. The whole area is kind of penned in, and I'm just gonna see what I find. Say, oh. The woman at the ranger station definitely knew her stuff. She had marked that exact spot on the map and said, might be a little more gnarly here. Somebody rolled a side-by-side there not long ago. I just can't get over driving into these stands of aspen. It's just so cool.
I also love breaking out of the forest into these lovely open meadows, each one revealing a new vista of these intriguing little mountains. It's getting late in the day, and now I'm actively looking for someplace to camp. I'm trying to get over towards an area I spotted in the distance that looks like it might be right up my alley. This shift in the soil color looks promising, and I think I'm getting closer. More and more rock formations are emerging out of the forest, eventually giving way to dramatic cliffs overlooking the valley. Poking down numerous side trails spurring off the road, I'm starting to encounter campsites tucked into the trees and rocks, and after investigating multiple really cool spots, I've stumbled upon an amazing campsite that I immediately know is the one.
Well, after what was a long and sort of emotionally difficult day, I have found a campsite for tonight I'm happy with. I found a number of interesting campsites actually, all of them vacant on a Monday night. But this one takes it for me. Let me show you around. So I got some nice rock formations here. There's actually another like big tall rock formation thing there, which you can't see against the setting sun. Lovely spot with little trees and granite boulders. We've got a little grove of young aspens here. But the best part, I can't run, not at this elevation. Now, if that is not the perfect spot to sit and have a campfire, they are still permitted here in this forest, but I'm not going to burn anything. I do have the propane fire pit. Maybe we'll give that a try. Nice little spot. Let's get camp set up.
As I'm getting camp set up, a bit of motion catches my eye.
There's just nothing to give you a sense of scale of how small that bunny is. It's like, I don't know, 8 inches at most, 6-8 inches. It's teeny tiny. The squirrels in my backyard are twice as big.
With the sun dropping behind the hills, the temperature has dropped as well, and I'm trying my new tactical propane fire pit for the first time. I'm nowhere near where I expected to be in Colorado tonight, but I'm immensely grateful to have found such a beautiful and interesting area to explore at an elevation I could tolerate, and thoroughly enjoyed my day in Pike National Forest. Tomorrow, I'll head in a new direction and see what else I can find. It's the next morning after an enjoyable day exploring some lower elevation areas of Pike National Forest. When I was scrambling to come up with new plans, a name down in the corner of the map rang a bell: Garden of the Gods. I didn't even realize that was in Colorado. I'd seen pictures, some pretty striking rock formations, and if you've followed my channel for a while, you know I love checking out geological oddities. This is not at all what I expected to see in Colorado, but it's not that terribly far away, and I'm actually pretty excited to go check it out. Wow, this is way more massive than I expected, and just spectacular against the backdrop of those mountains. What I also did not expect was this.
So I have to admit, when I saw that huge visitor center and all these tourists and like tourist tour jeeps and segways and paved pathways, and this is not what I thought this was going to be. I knew that there were these big red rock formations, and I thought on a Tuesday morning I'm going to come out here, park in an empty lot, and walk around by myself. So I nearly was like, I don't know if I want to do this.
Obviously, this wasn't part of my original plan, and I had done no research. I just saw the name on the map and had a hazy recollection that there were some cool rock formations. I did not realize that Garden of the Gods is literally in Colorado Springs. In fact, it's actually a city park. and astonishingly busy for 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. While this is not the type of remote, backcountry experience I usually seek out, I'm going to just make the best of it. Sometimes an adventure requires coping with adversity all alone in the middle of nowhere. Today, the adventure is going to be coping with hordes of noisy tourists, but these glorious red rocks are motivating me to face that challenge. And the tourists are everywhere you look. There is no vista here that is not interrupted by people. But I can't really complain. I mean, I'm here too, getting in someone else's way. It's okay. Let's just enjoy this remarkable bit of geology sticking randomly out of the earth here. It would be easy to miss in these massive rock faces, but many of the holes and crevices have provided nesting spots for birds. In fact, here in this city park, crawling with shouting children and scolding parents, I'm seeing more wildlife than I did out in the pristine and unpopulated backcountry.
After a night at 11,000 feet and 24 hours at 9,000 feet, here at 6,000 feet, I feel like Superman now. And normally when I go from home to 6,000 feet, I feel miserable. Man, what a difference.
While climbing on the rocks is mostly forbidden throughout the park, there is an area where visitors are allowed to scramble off the designated pathways and get a little more up close and personal with the rocks. I've seen multiple signs indicating drone flight is not permitted, but to help you get a better sense of what these crazy fins of rock look like, I've actually licensed some stock footage for you to check out.
it doesn't cost anything to come and visit this park. Come out here, park in one of the parking lots, walk around, no cost. Totally worth the visit if you're in the area. I would try and get here as early as possible. It's 11 o'clock in the morning now, and it is getting hot out there. I'm glad I got here at 9. Also, people are just flooding in. The parking lots are looking full. It opens at 5 a.m., I guess, and had I realized that, I think I would have got an earlier start this morning. I was under the impression that it only opened at like 9 or 10 in the morning. But really the trick would be to get here at sunrise.
I spotted some lower elevation public lands not terribly far from Loveland, where I need to be in a couple of days. After some hours on rural highways through rolling farmlands, I'm back off pavement, though this is more of a graveled highway with surprisingly steady traffic of work trucks, presumably involved with farming or servicing the many oil and natural gas wells I keep seeing out here. Cheery black-eyed Susans create a constellation of color against the muted tones of the prairie. Pawnee National Grassland is not so much a tract of public land as it is a checkerboard of federal lands interspersed with private property. You can pass in and out of the national grassland multiple times within minutes on a single road, so it's a little tricky to truly wander and explore, and it's critical to keep track of where you are on the map at any given moment. While there are many gated side roads that head into private land, I found that routes getting from point A to point B or connecting separate pieces of the grassland generally were passable. While I've seen occasional small clumps of wind turbines here and there along the Columbia Gorge in Oregon, I have never driven through such an endless array of these white windmills, and I find it absolutely mesmerizing. In addition to the striking backdrop of turbines, the landscape is also regularly dotted with a much older method of harnessing the wind. I don't know how old these are, but these windmills are still pumping drinking water for the cattle that graze these lands. After pausing to admire one up close, I find myself in a bit of a stare down with a local who has approached. I win this round, Bessie. This trailhead is one of my destinations out here. It's been a long day and it's getting late, so I won't be doing any hiking tonight, but I'm hoping to come back in the morning and give it a try. The trail strikes out across the grasslands towards Pawnee Buttes, eventually ending at the nearest butte on the left. The second butte is on private land and inaccessible. buttes aren't particularly big or spectacular, they rise relatively high above the surrounding flatlands, and it's no surprise they're a point of interest out here. The trailhead is just a day-use area, but I've been seeing dispersed campsites here and there, so let's go see what we can find. Despite a bit of wind exposure, I love the view from this campsite, but unfortunately it's really close to another site where there's the only other vehicle I've seen out here all afternoon, which appears to be someone camping in a rental van. I'll keep looking. Around most of the roads in this immediate area, I found a nice spot on a rise offering 360-degree views, including the buttes, and turns out I'm just a stone's throw from tomorrow's trailhead. That trailer over on the next ridge is long abandoned. The only souls anywhere near me are the ever-present cattle. Based on the wind direction, I don't think that thunderstorm is going to impact me tonight.
Alright, so it's 6:30. I've got camp packed up already. I got up early this morning because I wanted to go down and hike that trail a little bit. Well, those of you who have followed my channel for a while know that I am not much of a hiker. But apparently, at least according to what I read, these grasslands are supposed to be really good for wildlife spotting. Lots and lots of varieties of birds and other types of animals, ground animals, coyotes. I don't remember everything that I saw on the information panel. But it's hard to get a look at wildlife sometimes when you're making a lot of noise driving down a gravel road. So there's a little trail that goes out to one of the buttes out there, and I don't know if I will hike all the way out there, but it's a good opportunity to just walk and get out away from the truck and see what I can see.
It isn't long before some movement in the distance catches my eye, and I spot something I never see on my Oregon adventures. I believe this flower is the Rocky Mountain bee plant. Closer inspection reveals it attracts more than just bees.
There are birds all around, but with nothing to perch on, they're hard to spot in the grasses. And that chirping you hear, well, turns out it's not a bird, that's a prairie dog. Well, another day, another stare down with a cow. In fact, looking around, I'm suddenly feeling a little watched. I'm beyond the cattle fence, but now frequently encountering something else in my path. These beetles are everywhere, and I believe this might be a type of desert stink beetle. Not the biggest bug I've ever seen, but still a decent-sized critter. This rocky segment of the trail must be bypassed for part of the year to protect nesting raptors, but I'm here at the right time, and getting up out of the grasses, I'm spotting more birds. This narrow spine of rock has given me pause. Am I still on the trail?
I am definitely on the trail.
It's Wednesday morning, and I'm leaving Pawnee National Grasslands. I still have one more full day in Colorado before I need to get to Loveland for Expo Mountain West.
This morning after I finished my hike, I looked at the map and saw that there was a chunk of national forest up above Fort Collins that looked like it didn't necessarily have to get to super high elevation. So that's what I'm trying to avoid, is getting up into the 10, 11, 12,000 feet kind of area, because I am just not conditioned for it. So I am heading up into what I think is Roosevelt National Forest, and I'm definitely going to gain some elevation. I'm at about 6,000 feet here. Looks like I might get up into the 9,000 foot area, but I did some of that a couple of days ago in Pike National Forest, and that was okay. I had to not run too fast, but it was okay. Today, no idea what I'm gonna find. Just gonna get up in there and take roads that look interesting.
The drive through this rocky gorge is a pleasant surprise. I'm following the Kashla Pudra River, and this footage doesn't come anywhere near doing justice to how dramatic and beautiful this stretch of the canyon is. The river itself is wild and just picture perfect.
So on the map, this area looked like it could be interesting, this road coming up along this lake. Maybe I could get up to a spot where even if I can't be up in the mountains, maybe I could be sort of at a spot where I could see the mountains. And I could sort of see them a little bit at one point, but I had no idea that this was a recent burn area. I mean, it looks like it's been a few years, but it is just like barren. Yeah, so this is the road I was looking for. So that eliminates that. I feel like crap. I'm dizzy, nauseous, headache coming on. I think I'm gonna drop back down. Yeah, definitely a pretty little spot. It's cute up in here, but it's 9,300 feet here, and my head is spinning. I won't be able to actually do anything. I think I'm gonna drop back down. Yes, just watching those altitude numbers drop. That's what I want to see. Yeah, so this little campground caught my eye on the way up because it looked like it was right along the little river, and it is, and it looked like it was pretty much empty, and it is. Still at 8,700 feet. I already feel better than I did at 9,300 feet, just that 500 feet of difference makes a difference. This is a really cute little campground. It's close to the highway, but the sound of the river is so loud that you would never hear the highway. Still feel a little iffy. How you doing? Not bad. Don't see a lot of people up in Nissan Frontiers. Yeah, so I just saw a sign actually that says you can't camp within a quarter mile of the river unless you're in one of the campgrounds. And I think I'd like to camp along the river. All of the sort of more backcountry looking area seems to have been burned. I don't want to push further away from Loveland than I already am, since I got to get there tomorrow So, I think I am just gonna keep checking out the campground as I go, see how I feel as far as elevation, and when I find some place that's a campsite that I like, and I feel like I can breathe and, you know, not faint, we'll call that good. Okay, this one is down at 7,700. See how we feel here. So there are available campsites. The river is right there, but then I noticed there's also like a barbed wire fence preventing access to the river. It's really not a bad spot, and it's set back quite a ways from the highway. Boy, it's such a bummer you can't actually go down and touch the river. Actually, I'm a little dizzy just walking around. I think we'll drop some more elevation. Alright, so there's one last Forest Service road up into the hills a little bit, down here at lower elevation. I'm just going to go ahead and poke up. It's still early in the day. See what it looks like, if maybe it looks more interesting than being in a campground. Oh, this is kind of nice. Oh, there's views and there's rock formations. There are people camped in the campsite right across the road, but oh, there's people camped here. Never mind. I mean, technically, I think there were 3 or 4 campsites there in that little side road, but that's so close together. I might as well be in the campground on the river if I'm gonna have neighbors that close. Interesting little rocky area. I mean, it's kind of a view of the burn, kind of exposed to the wind. I don't know, it's a cool campsite. I don't know. This looks like a really nice campground, and there's lots of room. There's even spots on the other side of the river.
I found a vacant site with a few neighbors down that way, but also a really close neighbor right there. Despite the really nice river access, I've decided to move on again to the next campground, and I'll explain why in a moment.
I really like that spot that I found in the previous campground. Just wonderful access to a lovely little beach. I could just see myself sitting there in my chair reading my book for the afternoon. But I don't know, it was a weird vibe with those RVs and those guys in the RVs. It's like they wouldn't make eye contact. They would not make eye contact. I'm sure they were fine, but it's just like, I don't know, that's just not the vibe that I like. So I knew there was one more campground down here. I had seen it on the way up and it looked really nice with sites on the other side of the river from the highway. So I thought, well, let's go down and check it out. And sure enough, I found a nice little spot. There's like 10 campers over there. There's people in a Subaru with a cute little teardrop over there. It just feels more like home.
This campsite also has nice access to the water, and it's a really scenic little stretch of the river. Definitely going to call this good. It's been raining on and off, so I've deployed the new awning. I've been just sitting and reading, though I got a nice little nap in as well. When the rain stops, I'm going to walk the entire campground and see what other people's setups look like. I actually took a dip in the river earlier to clean up a bit, but I didn't realize there were showers here.
For 26 bucks a night, you think they could give you a shower. I'm glad I got in the river earlier today. Okay, I just went for a hike around all of the loops of the campground and back. Let's see how I did. 6, 7, about a mile and a half. That's almost as much as I hiked this morning. It's a big campground.
It's now Thursday morning. After coffee and breakfast, I'll need to pack up camp and drive back down into town to find a car wash, and then head out to the expo grounds to get set up for Mountain West. My final free day in Colorado ended up being pretty low-key, though honestly, it was kind of nice just to hang out and enjoy a quiet afternoon along the river.
None of this was the Colorado I expected to show you. And while my grand plans for this trip had to be scrapped, that led me to discover places I never would have thought to visit otherwise. Sometimes things go wrong, but when you roll with it, positive outcomes remain possible. I hope you enjoyed this unexpected bit of Colorado as much as I did. Thank you for watching.